2019, authors Andrew Collins and Graham Phillips set out to investigate some of the most mysterious stone circles of the British Isles on the Orkney Islands of Scotland. This small island chain is home to Skara Brae, an ancient settlement that is over 5,000 years old. Now known as the Scottish Pompeii, it was discovered in 1850 after a storm revealed the ancient ruins.
Just look at this place. I mean, it's just extraordinary.
It's pretty sophisticated. I mean, these walls here are really quite advanced for 5,000 years ago, when everybody else in the country was living in, well, mud huts, basically.
I know, and the incredible thing about this is the descendants of these people end up creating all of the stone circles around Britain.
Experts believe that the descendants of Skara Brae began building stone circles throughout Great Britain, including Stonehenge. But what compelled them to do so? Andrew believes the answer can be found at a stone circle near Skara Brae called the Ring of Brodgar, and its connection to mysterious lights in the sky.
We're here at the Ring of Brodgar. It is a henge circle, so all around the outside of it is a ditch and embankment.
One of the things that's been repeatedly found in connection with stone circles is that virtually every location is also somewhere associated with the appearance of mysterious lights, what we call UFOs. We're talking about Stonehenge, Avebury, the Isle of Anglesey in Wales. All of these locations, mysterious lights appear and then disappear.
Is it possible that the mysterious stone circles found on the British Isles were once used to signal otherworldly beings? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and point to the fact that the stones used to build the ancient circles contained large amounts of quartz.
Quartz crystal can hold frequency or vibration. It can store energy, in other words. That opens the possibility that it has a technological application. We use crystals in computers, and radios, and lasers, digital watches. All kinds of technology is based on quartz crystals.
It's been documented in the UK that a lot of these stone circles are associated with strange lights and UFO activities, and we have to wonder about the energy there. So it may well be that in some cases there's some kind of electronic magnetic signature that they put out that are beacons for UFOs.
Could it be that extraterrestrial beings have been visiting the British Isles for thousands of years? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and suggest further evidence that ancient islanders were influenced by otherworldly beings can be found on the mysterious isle off the coast of Italy, where archaeologists have uncovered very curious human-like remains.
Incredible prehistoric temples that defy conventional explanation.
The jewel in the archaeological crown of Malta has to be the Hypogeum of Hal Saflieni. This is a remarkable structure, particularly when you bear in mind they didn't have metal tools. It's just mind-boggling.
Archaeologists realised that this was a huge underground network of chambers and corridors. You enter down into it and there are a series of 3 different levels. All of them are interconnected with corridors and flow into chambers.
Soon after the discovery of the Hypogeum, archaeologists excavating the subterranean chambers found more than 7,000 skeletons. Strangely, a great many of them had skulls that were noticeably elongated.
It was found that some of the skulls were actually elongated. They were almost like the head going backwards rather than upwards. Does that represent the fact that they were doing head binding? They were pressed into shape when these people were babies?
Head binding has been a practice of numerous primitive cultures around the world. It involves tightly wrapping the heads of infants before their skulls fully harden, resulting in an elongated shape.
In my opinion, the smoking gun of this whole extraterrestrial question is the elongated skull phenomenon. Worldwide, in different museums, you find these skulls that clearly have an elongated cranium, and the mainstream explanation is that our ancestors did this to mimic their gods' worship. Right there is where it becomes interesting. Because if they mimic someone, well, you had to have seen someone. So is it possible that whoever visited our ancestors back in the day had these elongated skulls? And my answer to that is a resounding yes.
Malta is one of these islands which is not understandable. Why on such a small island so many temples? I think they were extraterrestrials. They were the race of giants. The reality is extraterrestrials were here thousands of years ago. Extraterrestrials are here today. We are under observation.
We're just moments away from the most mysterious island on our list, and we've definitely saved the best for last, because this location contains what I believe to be undeniable proof that it was built with the help of extraterrestrial technology. In the middle of the Pacific Ocean is a site that absolutely blows my mind. The locals say that this artificial island was built thousands of years ago with the technology of the gods. At number 1 in our countdown, the island of Nan Madol.
Pohnpei, Micronesia. Located roughly 2,500 miles northeast of Australia, this remote island is home to some of the oldest and most astounding ruins of the ancient world, Nan Madol. It is an 11 square mile complex consisting of more than 100 man-made islands standing atop a submerged coral reef. Archaeologists estimate that to construct the site, the builders used 250 million tons of basalt, some blocks weighing upwards of 50 tons.
Nan Madol is this amazing construction. It's a full-on city. When pilots during World War II would fly over that part of the Pacific, they would look out their windows and they would see what essentially was described as the Venice of the Pacific. So that became one of its nicknames.
In 2019, ancient ancient astronaut theorists Giorgio Tsoukalos and David Childress traveled to the remote island to try and understand how Non Madol was built.
It's exciting.
They were joined by Micronesia's National Historic Preservation Officer, Gus Kohler.
All right, hello.
Hi, Gus. This is our
How are
guy.
you guys?
Welcome
Good to see
to
you.
Brooklyn.
And to get an expert opinion on the megalithic complex,
Follow me.
they enlisted UCLA Professor of Structural Engineering, Dr. Henry Burton.
Wow, look at this.
Amazing, huh? That's amazing.
So here's this huge wall here full of prismatic basalt. How would you build that then today?
Well, you'd certainly need cranes, I can tell you that. Even for some of these smaller blocks we're talking about, on the order of tens of tons.
So how would you build this if you didn't have any cranes?
It's a mystery to me. I can't imagine how it could be built without cranes.
So Gus, what is your tradition of how they built these walls?
Well, according to our oral history, these rocks came from the north. We're in the southeast, this area in the southeast. And in fact, the recent studies has been able to collaborate that 40% of these rocks actually came from the north.
Recently, a growing number of scientists have become convinced that the basalt used to construct Non Madol came from a volcanic outcropping 25 miles northeast of the ancient site. But how were the massive stones transported over such a long distance? To investigate, the team traveled to another site on the island that is said to have belonged to Non Madol's original builders.
So Gus, what is then the oral history of moving this stone on the island?
Well, according to the legends, the stones were flown up here. Rocks were brought from the north and they were flown up.
For generations, the people of Pohnpei have told the story that Non Madol was built by strange visitors through a process of levitation.
Now we have the oral traditions, the story about two brothers, Olusopa and Olusiba. They managed to construct what you know today as Non Madol. According to oral histories, the stones flew to the Non Madol area.
According to the tale, the basalt was carried by what the natives refer to as a giant bird.
There's one story that says that at some point there were these giant roosters that lived on top of that mountain, and this rooster took these basalt blocks and flew them over to Non Madol. Now, monster roosters do not exist, so my mind always goes to misunderstood technology, machines that were provided by the extraterrestrials. Why is it that remote islands all around the world are home to so many mysterious structures, sightings, and legends of otherworldly beings? Well, perhaps these secluded locations offered the perfect outposts for extraterrestrials who came to Earth thousands of years ago and may still be visiting today.
Mysterious orbs of light reported all over the world. Enormous cylindrical objects hovering high above the Earth. And massive triangular craft that appear out of thin air. Throughout history, people have witnessed objects of all shapes and sizes up in the sky. Now, we're going to take a look back at the top 10 examples of what ancient astronaut theorists suggest are in fact alien craft. Craft that just may hold the proof that Earth has been visited by extraterrestrials.
People love to tell me about their UFO sightings, and some of them are pretty astonishing. But you may be surprised to hear that many of the flying craft that we're seeing today may have also been seen thousands of years ago. This countdown takes a look at the various types of objects that have been witnessed in the sky again and again. At number 10 on our list of the top 10 alien craft, the Flying V. Kent, New York. New Year's Eve, 1982. A group of partygoers spots a gigantic V-shaped craft overhead with red, white, and green lights. The colors suddenly vanish, and then the object illuminates the ground with a blinding white light. Over the next few months, Hudson Valley authorities are bombarded with similar reports.
Usually UFOs just appear to a small number of people and they disappear. In this case, people were stopped on the highways. People were running out of their houses watching this enormous object pass over the size of a football field.
It's estimated that as many as 5,000 people called in and made reports of this giant V, and the witnesses said that this flying triangle was completely silent, and that it was flying very slowly, if at all, and would often just hovering right in place, and then would slowly turn, and then ultimately fly off in another direction. So that these were not some hoaxers with their airplanes flying in formation, but something completely different. The sightings of large V-shaped craft in upstate New York made headlines in the New York Times. Then, in 1997, an identical craft was spotted in Phoenix, Arizona.
It was a triangular-ish shaped object, seen very reliably by quite a large number of witnesses, including the governor of the state at the time, Five Symington, who was a qualified pilot, and in the Air Force Reserve as well.
As a pilot and a former Air Force officer, I can definitively say that this craft did not resemble any man-made object that I'd ever seen.
While the V-shaped craft flying over the Hudson Valley and Phoenix are the most well-documented mass UFO sightings in history, they are far from the first. More than 400 years ago, in 1561, the citizens of the Bavarian city of Nuremberg reported a commotion in the sky that was unlike anything they had ever experienced before. People went outside and they saw what they described as a celestial bell. The witnesses observed seeing hundreds of these strange-shaped objects. What were these strange shapes that they were describing? The aerial scene, illustrated in a woodcut, is described in the accompanying text as a very frightful spectacle. A large black V-shaped object appeared in the sky and seemed to launch projectiles as onlookers below watched in amazement. This was actually witnessed by thousands of people. Had it been a meteor shower or something like this, then the reports would have been, okay, this happened before because we've seen this before, but that was new. The witnesses would have had a conception of some kind of a mechanical spacecraft, but that seems to be exactly what they were describing. And this has to be one of the greatest mass sightings of a UFO phenomena in all of recorded history. To me, there is no doubt that the people of Nuremberg witnessed an alien craft. They just didn't have the language to accurately describe what they saw. But that should come as no surprise, because even today, strange objects are seen in our skies that defy explanation. Like the number 9 entry on our countdown, Orbs of Light. Western Germany, November 1944. U.S. Navy pilots with the 415th Night Fighter Squadron report seeing 8 to 10 bright orange lights off the left wing, flying through the air at high speed. Neither the radar operator in the air nor ground control could identify anything strange orbs of light are observed by hundreds of both Axis and Allied pilots all over Europe and Asia throughout the war, and become known as Foo Fighters.
Foo Fighters were first seen in the Second World War by pilots flying not actually that high off the ground, between 800 or 10,000 feet. Usually pilots were flying at night, and they reported seeing lights in formation on the horizon. They would be moving together or flashing, kind of tracking them for a bit, and then it would disappear as soon as it came.
They were called Foo Fighters after French feu, meaning fire, because they were flaming balls. In 1945, a B-29 bomber over the South Pacific saw a Foo Fighter off its wing. B-29s were very heavily armed. It trained its machine guns on the device, fired on it, and the Foo Fighter blew up into a million pieces. That story was covered in Time magazine. Whatever they were, they disappeared and have now gone into legend.
While reports of encounters with Foo Fighters ended after World War II, mysterious orbs of light have been reported hovering around military testing sites, nuclear plants, and even crop circles. But what they are remains a mystery.
Foo Fighters exhibited performance characteristics beyond any other aircraft in the skies at the time. There were pilots that reported Foo Fighters traveling at unimaginable speeds that were capable of maneuvering in the air in ways that no other aircraft could do.
These are hypersonic devices. They can also zigzag, and the amount of zigzagging is so great that the gravitational forces inside these objects as they jerk
OBU inspection 是这边啊，坏掉了。